Welcome back to another episode here on the Heart and Hustle podcast. Our next guest says he didn't plan to run a transportation nonprofit. He just took a ride, one ride, and thought, wait a minute, this is how essential services should actually feel. So, Frank, I appreciate joining in. And man, you worked every seat at the table, public, private, nonprofit. What kept you pulling forward, man, when in reality, it could have been easy just, you know what, I'm going to hang up my boots and maybe retire.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't feel like I, the more I think about it, the more I feel like I'll never want to retire. And I know it sounds a little trite to say, well, I'm always learning, but I think that is it, that I just love doing things, learning things. I love working with people. And the odd thing is I'm an introvert. So you would think, wow, just hanging around at home would be great. And I love that with hanging around with the dogs, with the kids. But I really do love the work that I've done either, as you said, as a city manager, private trash recycling company, university. There's always things to learn, things to contribute. And that's just kind of my thing. I love it.
I'm with you, man. I'm only 35 years old, so I may got some time.
Yeah.
But I think to myself, will I really retire? Like, I truly appreciate the getting up, finding a problem, figuring out what the solution is. And I can only imagine if someone says, all right, Ephraim, you have to stay home. I'm going to find 10 things to do at home. All right. Like, I'm still going to be very active trying to figure it out because I think I still have a lot of pending projects in my house because I just love to do things. Um,
Yeah.
it's so hot. I'm in Florida, so it's super hot. And sometimes I'll still go outside and mow the lawn and do this. My wife's like, you just love to be outside. I'm like, I just don't know how to stay still. Like, my mind would not even allow me to, man.
Yeah.
But we talked about you taking that ride, right? You took the ride along
Yeah.
with Via. What really hit you the hardest to say, this is the organization that I want to actually, invest my time into?
Yeah. Well, and as just to take a step back, because I was city manager here in Boulder at the time, and it was a person on actually the library director was on the board here at we were called Special Transit back then, and she said, "You go do the ride along. You've got to see this place." And what struck me was that I understood that this nonprofit was doing the work that a city or a county would typically be doing this transit and paratransit, assisted transportation for people. And it really hit me hard that, wow, this nonprofit is very efficient, very effective, very caring, and they're saving me money as city manager. And I've got to check out what they're doing. How are they doing this? How are they able to do it? And it just really, really hit me hard how good it was.
And you weren't really chasing a title per se. You were just trying to chase meaning, impact.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? But why? Did you always have this giving heart? Like, what made you say, I'm going to the nonprofit space? So many people have this idea of a nonprofit not making money. There's no money to be
Right.
made. It's hard. I mean, Frank, you were in a space probably making great money and it could have continued up that ladder.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, I'm older than you. We know that. But so I was a young kid when my parents were, let's call them Kennedy Democrats, John Kennedy Democrats, and it was an era of obviously space and a lot of human rights issues. And as a little kid, I just saw the energy and excitement. And again, I know there's a lot of complexities, a lot of negative, but I saw the positives back then. And horribly after the assassination, and I saw his brother, Robert, and I saw the passion and the energy. So I early on saw what government could do. And so that kind of explains why I got into government. Why the nonprofit sector? Well, a lot of people think that nonprofit has to mean basically the discount, the deep discount. And yeah, it can mean that. But with VIA, we are VIA Mobility Services. We're a transit and paratransit provider that has to look and operate like a private business, meaning we need contracts to be able to survive and do the paratransit, meaning we have to be competitive, we have to be efficient, we have to pay people fairly well. So that's what I love about this place is it's not just, sitting here expecting government to give us things. give us contracts. No, we've got to compete for them. We've got to earn them and win them. And I love that. So it's, yeah, it's giving back. It's nonprofit, but it's nonprofit kind of on steroids. It's different.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say too. What you were just saying is you are looking for these contracts, you're bidding on these contracts, realizing that there's a service that need to be provided. And I think a lot of organizations don't go that route. I've seen people create a venue where now they rent out the venue, so now they're going to have the consistent income with renting out a venue. So I think it's almost like low hanging fruit, realizing there's a need. Right, a simple need, and you're doing it so well, and you're training about 270 people to show up, but and not just physically, but present. Frank, how do you get that done? Like, clearly it's not an easy 270 people. Organizations, nonprofits don't normally see that many people. How are you training these people, man, to just be
Yeah.
present?
Well, and we have a really robust training protocol. And let's just, I mean, of our 270 employees, about 85% of them are drivers and mechanics. So, it's the rubber meeting the road, so to speak, immediately and directly. And we spend weeks training them, the drivers especially, how to do the route, how to show up, um, what not to do, obviously, the drug and alcohol standards. They know they're going to be randomly tested, but we also train for the routes. And we operate now in 8 counties in the Denver metro
Wow.
area, all the way up to the Cheyenne border, to the Wyoming border, including Cheyenne. And so we spend a lot of time directly with what are they going to encounter. And because we have to pay, accordingly, we have to pay decently, competitively. It's a choice. Yep, they can choose to work for a private for-profit and earn a little bit more, but we also offer a lot of flexibility with schedule. We understand you and I've got kids. A lot of people have kids. We understand that someone may need a day off to take their kid to school or something to camp, and we are cool with that. We provide that. So it's a little bit of heart, soul, and hardcore training that our employees know they're doing something of great meaning, and I think they can see by the training that we're taking it very seriously, and I think they appreciate that, frankly.
And for those that are listening, can you explain that door through door service to someone who's never needed the services?
Yeah, so if you're, when we say, I've gotten used to saying paratransit, and not everyone knows what that means. It's assisted transportation. It's maybe someone's in a wheelchair or they have a walker, or at the very least, they need that elbow of someone to get them from their inside their home, help them put on their coat, get them out the door, down the steps, into the bus, up on the bus, secure it on the bus, to the location. Let's say they're going to the doctor, into the doctor's office, and we don't leave them until they are checked in and sitting down and waiting. And
Wow.
we can't stay with them throughout. That's something that we've thought about doing, but at the very least, we're one of the very few that does door through door still. And we've surveyed, our ridership. We know that at least 80 to 85% of our riders, the paratransit riders, absolutely need the door through door. What we just described, they can't get by without that. It's very inefficient service. There's no way we're going to rush from location to location. If we do 2 trips per hour, that's really good. But we are committed to that. And we'll use that, frankly, in our fundraising, that we have that heart, that soul. We had a visit, about 2 months ago from a gentleman probably only a little younger than me, whose 94-year-old grandma just figured out that she could ride with us. She wanted to come thank us. So the grandson and Patricia came here to say thank you. And we
Wow.
wound up sitting down, having a bubbly water together, and having her tell us how important it is to her to be able to do this. So, there's so many reasons why we do this and why we love what we do. And not every, granted, not everyone is in it for the same. Some people just need a job in the moment. But by and large, the people that work here understand that. They understand Patricia and
Yeah.
that we're changing her life.
How does that make you feel, man? I mean, I can only imagine it just fills your cup. Is the reason why you do it.
It does, and it is, and yet you've got to keep your head on straight. Like, I mean, I'm just a person. We're just people. I'm no better. I'm a sinner. There's nothing better about me than anyone else. So when I say, well, it fills my cup, yeah, but I don't want to get a big head about it and say, oh, we are the best thing in the. Yeah, I think we're doing really important work, and it's vital that someone's doing this and doing it well, and doing it to that standard. And I love that. I do. And we talked about retiring. I'm going to have a hard time if and when the day comes to say, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. The only reason I would think about doing that is because others that are coming up need to step in and take the reins at some point. But then I'm going to go do something myself. I don't know if I'm going to be a driver, but I could always volunteer, right?
That's it, man. Oh, I love it. And how long have you been with this organization?
So I'm coming up on closing out 9 years as chief executive officer, but I was on the board of directors for 7 years before that, including 2 years as board president. So when we have our board meetings, I'm always mindful of what the board members are thinking and feeling, and sometimes they feel like they're not doing enough, and I try to assure them because I've been there. So many years now, many years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit over 15 years, man. A lot
Yep.
of times, and the reason I ask that is you've seen change, you've implemented
Yep.
change. What are some of the things that you're most proud of in that time, 15 plus years, especially being a CEO?
Yeah. Well, one of the things is something that is maybe some would say it was not a decision, but it is a decision to not change the door through door, because I just got done saying it's very inefficient type of transportation. And yeah, we do shuttles, we do microtransit, we do on demand, but the paratransit work that we do, that's that founding mission. We just recommitted to that, and I'm very proud of that, meaning that we're not going to say, oh, it's just going to be curb to curb, or get you close to your home. No, we're going to still take you in and get your coat on and bring your groceries in. I'm proud of our sustainability commitments, changing to battery electric vehicles and eventually hydrogen electric vehicles. I'm very proud of our second response service. What I mean by that, here in Colorado, we have wildfires every year. And when that happens here in this 8 county region we serve, we show up. We're going to help evacuate. We don't ask for money for that. We just do it. And I'm really proud of that. And it's all hands on deck when that happens. We're all here. Obviously, I'm not driving, but I'm going to make sure that our drivers have whatever they need to go out. If they need a hotel room because they're going to stay here instead of going back wherever they live, I'll get that for them. There's a lot of things I can do. I'm proud of our teamwork.
And let's not get it twisted. If you needed to drive, you're going to get behind the wheel and drive, right, Frank?
Well, there's certain things I can do. I don't have a commercial driver's license.
Oh, got it. Makes
I
sense.
got Not all of our vehicles require that, but many of them do. So I can't do that. There's a lot of things I can do.
I love it.
Yeah.
Frank, man, we're in a space where innovation is key, especially in nonprofit. You guys clearly kind of ahead of the game. I think last time we talked about just tech, we were mentioning AI and realizing that tech is not replacing people. It should actually make humanity more useful. What is your thoughts on AI? Are you guys actually kind of dipping your toe on what it may look like for VIA, or is it something that you guys are already utilizing?
Well, yeah, I think the answer is yes. We already are already using it. Let's look at the call center. I mean, it's much better if we can use AI to answer calls and not keep people waiting and have, really positive experience for everyone. But to take it the extreme side, AI in the context of automated vehicles, so driverless vehicles. On the paratransit side, let me assure everyone right off the bat, when we get to that point, there's still going to be a person on the bus who's going to help with that elbow or that arm
Yeah.
and help that person in. But, do we get to the point where technology is so advanced that we eliminate the potential for accidents because of AI. Got to look at that. Absolutely got to look at that. But AI is also the on-demand software that we're using that people can grab their smartphone and book a trip, just like Uber and Lyft, obviously. But on the paratransit side, on the micro transit side, on the municipal transit, where's that bus? That's going to become more and more refined because of AI, and we're certainly open to it. I see the negatives that people are concerned about, and I'm not like, oh, gung ho on everything AI. But I also want to make sure that we're taking advantage of the positive things.
I think it's very interesting, Frank. You just understanding AI, not probably to the 100% capacity, but understanding enough to realize it's a tool, it's a resource. And you kind of saying some of the things of the vehicles driving on its own. I didn't even know you were going to go there. But what gets you to say AI is the thing? It's here, and I'm excited about what it's actually bringing. Was it you utilizing it? Is it people already showing you what AI could possibly do? Why are you so with it?
Yeah. Why am I open to it? I,
Yeah.
you know, let's just say it's a form of very advanced technology, but back in the day, and I forgive me, I don't remember when the elevator was invented.
Oh my God,
When
I
I
can't.
worked at the old Brooklyn Navy Yard, I had 14 elevators. I was a young guy. I was a project manager. I had 14 old elevators that I was responsible for maintaining. And those elevators were at a time when people weren't so excited about, is this thing going to fall? Is that cable going to break? So, bearing in mind that technology takes time, cars, airplanes, elevators, AI is just another form of technological change. And let's hope it's technological advancement. But again, there's so many elements of AI that's incorporated into so many things. You go get an MRI, there's AI is built into that system. It absolutely is. You know, robotic surgery, where you have to have your appendix out. Instead of them slashing open your belly, they're going to make three holes, and there's going to be a robotic arm with three little things that
Hmm.
are going to go in and do what they need to do to extract that appendix and cauterize and seal up. That's AI. And so,
Yeah.
when it comes to, we think of the extreme. We think of a 40 passenger bus trundling down the road without a driver. Are we going to get there? Yeah, we will get there. Is that 5 years? Is it 10? Is it 15? Is it 20? I don't know, but we're going to have different iterations of that. We're going to have monorail where we're going to have individual cars rather than a cable system like a gondola. That's going to be AI. And again, so it's not always the extreme. Sometimes it's in between.
Hmm.
And I'm just supportive of the changes. I want to see us continue to refine without having, think of medicines. You know, they do trials because they don't want to impact people negatively. And that's why they do medical trials, drug trials. And the same with technology. We're out there with bus and ever changing technologies. Go to Arizona and you can get a Wago, I think it's called Wago, a driverless vehicle, show up at the hotel, take you wherever you're going to go. It maybe is still a little ways out in a climate like ours where we're going to have snow in September, October. But it's there, it's coming. So I
That's
just
crazy.
want to make sure we're open to it.
Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying the podcast, we first want to say thank you. And we also just want to give you a little insight of what we're up to at Francis. Some don't even realize that we're working with organizations to help them use AI to create that real human communication experiences, whether that's actually supporting your families, those patients, or the entire community. We're actually creating tech that connects. Check it out, francis.ai. No, I love it. And you just mentioned, it's funny when you actually mentioned some people just think differently of it. Some people think it's the Terminator. I was talking to another leader, and it's like, if no one has ever watched Terminator, go back and watch it. And it's like, wow, people really live in this fear. And yeah, movies probably showed us a lot ahead of time before it even shows up. As you mentioned, there's good and there's bad, and it's how do we use it. But we could look at broadband internet when we used to, how we used to actually get on the internet,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
look at it now. I mean, within an instant, you're on the internet, and now with ChatGPT, you're getting information at a drop of a dime. I Does it make us a little lazier? People say. I don't think so. I think it makes me more creative. I don't know about you, Frank, if you're using it, but the ability to go and prompt a chat GPT, a Claude, and prompt it right. And I think that's where people fail, is that you don't know how to prompt it. You're not utilizing it to your advantage. But man, I'm doing way more reading than I've ever have, because I do have to read it, right? But I'm also seeing creative ideas that I can implement, as I'm seeing here running a nonprofit as well.
Yeah.
And I think for nonprofits especially, that we should start to test the waters, because there's so much asset there, and we're leaving it on the table. And if we want to play big in the nonprofit world, I believe we have to adapt to the change, to
I
be
think
quite frank.
you're absolutely right. I couldn't have said that better. And one thing though, when we're talking about AI and technology, I think it's interesting. Think of the movie, you mentioned Terminator. Think of Transformer or the Transformer series.
Okay, yeah.
One of the things that struck me is that even though these were machines, the um, the director, the producer, the creator of the movie really made a point of trying to introduce the notion of this machine can have heart as well. It can be a caring, thinking thing, taking care of these kids.
Yeah.
So I think that as technology continues to change, the reality is we don't want to lose our heart. We don't want to lose our soul. And the reason why we do what we do in the nonprofit world, is all about the people we serve. And so we got to keep that in mind as we're bringing in new tech, that still all about the people.
It is, man. I don't know if you use it. People say that exactly what you mentioned. There's no feeling, there's no empathy, all that. There's times I'm laughing with my chat GPT, right? Because it understands me. I've been able to talk to it and create it so it has a feeling in a sense. But I'm also seeing that what I'm seeing more of is young individuals using it as a therapist, which is also kind of mind blowing to me. But I've
Yeah.
heard two people this month already say they use ChatGPT as a therapist. However, therapists and those in mental health say that it would never happen,
Yeah.
right? And they're so against putting ChatGPT in their work. But I'm like, people are already doing it. Like I think so many times we only think about our generation, but what about the next generation, right? Me at least a millennial, I was in that social media phase, right? And being in front of cameras. You probably remember AOL AIM days. I don't know. What do you remember, Frank? Is that what you remember?
I do. I really do. But I'm also old enough that I remember this is yellow, but a pink slip,
Oh,
coming back to my office and having five pink slips to return phone calls, and that's obviously a very different world now.
I
Um,
don't know where I put it. I still have this floppy disk, man, from like elementary, and I would love to find something to put a floppy disk in and figure out what the hell is on this floppy disk. But time has changed, and change is never, um, it's never comfortable. It's always uncomfortable, and we're just in a time where change is happening. And you just had so many changes, man. You climbed a ladder, you build bridges between those sectors. Do you remember the boldest thing you've ever told a young leader on your team?
the boldest thing I've ever told a young leader. Um, it's probably not so earth-shattering, but it's along the lines of don't get paralyzed by the complexity of things. Just try. Just start. It's like I remember when I wanted to get a master's degree, and I was working full time again in Brooklyn at the Navy Yard, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take this one class, and I just started 1 foot really, and before you know it, you're in the middle of a program, and a year passes. So that's the thing is take that first step, whatever you're doing. Don't be afraid of that first step, because the reality is success and innovation isn't occurring in these leaps and bounds. It's occurring in margin, at the margin, because people are willing to take a step in the right direction. And sometimes it's the wrong direction, but you got to learn. And that's the thing is, don't be afraid of learning. I know there's always consequences. I've worked for organizations that are so terrified of failing that they don't produce anything. They don't move forward. The fear of being wrong. And that's the boldest thing is don't be paralyzed by being wrong. Try.
I love that. And that could go not to just individuals, but even to organizations, as you mentioned. So many people want to be perfect but when rolling something out. And it's really like, none of us are perfect, man. And as you mentioned, how do we learn is by putting out, is failing. Like the most beautiful thing about life is that when you fail, there was a lesson to be learned. So many people automatically go into this sense of, oh my God, life has happened and go into, a negative mindset.
Yep.
But it's like, hey, it happened. Now, what did I learn from it so I can actually do better next time?
Yeah.
So you're right, man. And even organizations, stop waiting for that program, that right, time to drop the program. Drop it, see what people think about it, and then tweak it as you go. Because if you're sitting on it, you're really also sitting on the ability to scale when you don't, when you're holding back. So
Well
I
said.
love it, man. That was
Yeah.
actually good. Yeah, it didn't have to be too bold, but it was very, very good information there, Frank.
Yeah.
I see the leadership coming out there, Frank. Uh, what is the biggest leadership lesson that you've learned? I mean, you've been doing it for a very long time, different sectors, in New York, Colorado. Do you remember that one leadership that still you still resonate with today?
Oh, yes, I do. It hurt. It hurt bad. And it was, again, I go back to the Navy Yard a lot because that was my first real job out of college. And I was a kid. Yeah, I was a kid. I had some responsibility, but we had a significant construction lawsuit that was going on and with one of our buildings and a roof issue. And we brought in this high power contract attorney
Hmm.
to work with us. And I was assigned to be kind of like his, because I was working on the project. So I was his guy. And he took me apart. And what I mean by that is he saw that I was, yeah, I was a kid, but he saw that I was stuck in a pathway of kind of believing my own little narrative that, oh, I'm so important. He kind of took me apart and said, look, if you want to be a serious player as you get older, you've got to do some things, and you're not there. You're not there. You're not going in the right direction. I remember going home just being devastated, like, wow, I'm not good enough. And he was right. I wasn't good enough. And I needed to really look inside and say, how am I going to actually show up and care about the work that I'm doing and not just do, whatever I can do to get by, but do, pursue, it sounds trite again, but pursue excellence. And that lesson, man, I've carried that through my whole life. And I've told my kids about it. I've told people that, work with me about that story when it's appropriate, when the time comes up and it's like, yeah, I remember that well. I even remember he was like, don't, gentlemen don't wear short sleeve shirts. And this was a place where I was still wearing a shirt, tie, and a coat. He's like, no, you wear a long sleeve shirt and you roll up the cuff. You're professional. You got to show up. Something as simple as that. I know it sounds silly to young
It
people
does.
today, but
It does.
yeah,
I it does sound silly because I am in a space where I'm like, show up as yourself, right? Like, be authentic.
yep,
And really, what this conversation has been is authentic. Frank and Efrain. I'm in my short sleeve. Look at me. Look at me. I'm in my short sleeve, but a little button up right here, Frank. And I just think I actually give you a story. So I guess it just depends the environment. So I
yeah,
was at the school.
exactly.
I was handing out scholarships. I'm the president of the Edgewater High School Foundation. But mind you, these are all young kids. Like, to them, I always feel a person in a suit and tie, dressed up really nice. People tend to not address that person, right? Because they feel that person's too out of their lead. So I was actually, I'm getting there. Have a long sleeve Edgewater shirt. I'm just casual in a sense. And the principal stops me. He's in a whole suit and tie. And he looks at me kind of like, hey, man, I got an extra polo shirt if you want to wear it. And it's almost like what you were saying, right? I wasn't dressed appropriate for him.
Right.
And I laugh and I was like, nah, I'm comfortable. And I believe that I'm actually more approachable by the kids this way.
Yep.
And he
Yep.
kind of just looked at me like, but to me, it was true. Like, so many times, I even spoke to leaders sometimes, and I say, man, you're not wearing a suit and tie. You're wearing a jogging suit, and you're into sports. He said the same thing. I just feel people approach me more if I don't have a suit and tie, and I'm always willing to pour into others, but people are scared to have a conversation. So it's kind of like, it's a tricky space to be in, man,
Oh,
because I think so many people do feel that, and then some people is like, but that's not me. I
Yeah.
don't feel comfortable that way.
Well,
So
and obviously I'm not wearing it now, any longer. But in the moment, his point wasn't so much about the shirt and tie jacket. It was about showing up as a professional. And you're right. In that time, in that era in New York City, yeah, shirt and tie made sense. But, it's just the bigger point of showing up, be committed to what you're doing, don't slack, show up.
yeah, I love it.
Yep.
I love it. We could go, keep going on with this for some time, but I do want to talk about as we start to wrap up, man.
Yep.
What would the world look like if more leaders like yourself picked purpose over prestige? Um, because in reality, man, like I love when I see people like yourself that could have done 10 times more than what you're doing today. But you decided that you're going for a different type of P, not the paycheck, the prestige, the purpose.
Yep.
But what happens if we get more leaders like this?
Well, and I love that question because I think that's the kind of message to young people, frankly, is yeah, back when I was a city manager here in Colorado, I would talk to university and high school students and I'd say, I know it seems like Washington, D.C. sounds really appealing to you, but if you really want to make a difference, work at a city, work at a local level, roll up your sleeves and get involved. You know, I had a young guy that asked, "Could I volunteer?" As I just went to his retirement party about a month ago, and he achieved great things. Became the city's legislative director. He started as a volunteer because he pursued that that uh, that honesty and that commitment rather than just a paycheck and just the
Yeah.
big profit. So I think that's the kind of person that I think the world would be a really different place. We think of the wars that are being fought all and have been fought for millennia because of chasing wealth, and there's nothing wrong with being successful and having nice things and providing for your kids, but it's also laying the groundwork for good and doing the right thing and not leaving people behind. And when you see someone that you know you can help doing it, I think that, as you said, that there's a whole payoff associated with that. And
Hmm.
we'd be a lot better off if more people were pursuing that.
No, I do agree. I think when people hear success, they automatically think money.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, success is that my family is doing well. I'm able to provide for myself, for my family. We're able to live a comfortable life. And so many people just think I got to be rich.
Yep.
And I always say when I hear that from young leaders as well, what does rich look like for you? Because rich could be money, but are you looking for peace? Are you looking for purpose? So I always have to kind of ask those questions. And I think we just forever and a day just think that successful means you got to be rich,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You got to look like the celebrities. You got to look like that. And I'll tell you, so many people that are so just rich in faith, rich in happiness. And they don't have the $1 million in the account. They don't have this big retirement, fund, but they're just very happy with what they do because they're chasing purpose,
Yeah.
not so much, money, paychecks. So I love what you're saying there, man.
And I want to make sure my kids know me. Um, yeah, I mean, there was a time where I was working an awful lot, and then I changed jobs because I had kids.
Some people won't do it. I love that. I love that about you, Frank.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take that risk, because it is not about us, as you mentioned. It's about my family, that they know who I am, that
Yep.
I'm present in their lives. I grew up without a mom and dad, and so I understood. I understand now how important that was to me, not having it. So yeah, man, like I'm so thankful that I get to be so close to my family.
Yeah.
But I've had to create that. It comes with sacrificing. I tell you, when I took the leap of faith to do it and say, I'm going to the coaching, I'm going to believe in myself. For a whole year, I sat in this dark tunnel and I would tell myself it's going to get better. this is part of the process.
Yeah.
I can see the light, but how far do I got to go? And those are the times that you really got to remember. It's not about the money. It's about the purpose. It's about what you're creating for you and your family. And I would say 2 years later, man, I'm so thankful. If you would ask me at that moment, I'm like, I don't know, but I'm so
Yeah.
thankful that I had to take, that I took that on. And so many people have the same ability, but just don't know their worth
Yeah.
per se,
Yeah.
right? So know your worth, and especially those young leaders. I think our young leaders, man, are so bright, are so motivated. They just need good people like Frank to really just let them know real conversation, like no sugarcoating,
Yeah.
what it actually looks like. And I ask you, man, for this blind question as we start to wrap up, you've been in rooms where policy, profit, and people actually collide. What's one moment that still haunts you, or maybe it fuels you today?
That's a really good question.
It's a blind question. I had to go in with a good one, Frank, for the
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah. Something that still haunts me. I, I I think it would always come down to, and I'm trying to remember a specific moment, but I think I know it in my heart. It's if I didn't own something that I did or didn't do and tried to pass it off as, well, that just happened. And, no, it's anytime I look back and I wasn't happy with myself, it's because I didn't own up to something. It's not always about what someone does to you. Sometimes it's a choice you've made or something you didn't do that you could have done. Some little thing of saying, yeah, I did that. That's my responsibility. That's my fault. And anytime I look back and I say, I wish I could have done better, I so often I walk my dogs and I'm thinking about life. I'm thinking about the past, and I think I wish I could go back and talk to that person again and change that conversation and change that decision I made. But it's always comes down to being a better person and owning it. And yeah, I mean, we're all flawed. And sometimes if you're not going to own it, you're not going to improve. And those are those moments. Yep.
I love it, Frank. And for your blind question, man, do you have a blind question for the next leaders that we have here on the Heart and Hustle?
Yeah, I think it's what will you do to look into your heart and know what is it that you want to achieve rather than, as you were saying earlier, just pursuing a paycheck or profit. How are you going to look into your heart and know what you really want to do and have the courage to go for that?
I love it. And Frank, where can people find you? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you are you on there? Some people have LinkedIn, but they're just not active as much. Are you active there? And also, what's the website so people can actually look more into what you're doing and the organization?
Sure. Our website is, www.viacolorado, viacolorado.org. And my personal email is frankwbruno@gmail.com. That's where I'm on LinkedIn. I try to be fairly active. I'm not as active as I used to be or would like to be on LinkedIn. There's just so many things that I do in the course of a day. But I just this morning I did go to it. I saw a colleague, a young woman that I worked with her dad back in Fort Collins 25 years ago, and she was a senior at CSU, Colorado State University. And I saw a post she had made, and I remember just this morning just thinking, there you go, there she is.
That's
Good.
good stuff. No,
Yeah.
that's what I love about social, man, is really to be able to catch up with somebody's life and say, wow, look what they've been able to do, especially as for you, when you were with them at a different part of their lives, and not to see them as a leader and kind of growing into their own. But no, man, I appreciate the conversation that we've had, Frank, truly. I always love when leaders come up on here and really they're not hiding anything. This is who they are at all times. If you call Frank right now, this is who you get. If you go into his office, this is who you get. And just knowing that you're just so excited for the work that you do. A lot of times people are ready to move on to the next, but Frank, you say, nah, there is no next. This is what I want to continue to do, and you knew that since you actually took on that first trip, right? That first ride along,
Yeah.
you fell in love. So
Yeah.
that's really what purpose looks like, is getting uncomfortable to go do the things that you never even knew were a thing. a lot of times if you have this feeling within you and you don't know why, go through with it. A
Yep.
lot of the times it's actually purpose knocking, and we tend to not answer. So Frank, I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the people that are watching right now. Guys, make sure that you guys do like, subscribe, and comment. This is how we continue to have more of these conversations. It doesn't cost you anything, and I'm pretty sure if you guys want to volunteer, Frank is definitely excited to take that call, take that email.
Yeah,
Frank,
absolutely.
we
Thank you
thank you,
so much,
man.
Efrain. Nice meeting you and hanging out with you for a bit.
Same here. Guys, my name's Efrain. This is Frank. This is the Hard and Hustle. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank
Latest.
you.